Hello everybody, this is Monster Dad. Welcome to this tutorial on ArcSigns and the basic commands you need to create some pretty effective and nice ArcSigns. Now I talked to a lot of players and they get a little bit concerned when they have to use an ArcSign. When you first put one down, if you press N and look into the ArcSign, you see all these different boxes. And quite frankly, people just get a little bit overwhelmed and don't bother with them, which is a bit of a shame, because you can, with some very, very basic commands and a small amount of knowledge, you can create some really, really fantastic ArcSigns. And this one I've created here, I'm not saying it's fantastic, but you know, it's colourful, it's nice. You can put far more text on them than you can with these basic stone or wood signs. And they look really good. You know, switch them on and off. Have them come on automatically if you use sensors. There's so much you can do with them, and they should be used more. As I said, there are 5 basic commands you need to know, and that's these here: offset, Z offset, size, color, and alignment. Get used to putting those 5 in. You can pretty much make any sign you want. What I've done is prepared 5 signs here, ready for us to just do a bit of practice with. First thing I'll do is show you how to wire a sign for basic commands. So wiring it to a switch is you connect it to the top middle receive button, and that's all you need to do. So if we go into ArcSign, press N, look at it, press N. First thing we need to do is totally ignore these 5 boxes up here. All we're interested in is the output message box for the basic use of an ArcSign. I will do a tutorial at a later date that will be more advanced and cover the other aspects of ArcSigns and what you can do with them. But for the purposes of this and to get started with ArcSigns, this is the area you're interested in. It's all you need to know. So let's move on with our first command, is offset, which is basically height. The height of an ArcSign is all set at 1, so when you switch it on, as you can see just in the background here, it is right above the ArcSign, 1 block above it. Now when you're putting commands into an ArcSign, we use the greater than and lesser than brackets, and we place our command in between those 2 brackets. So the first command for height is simply offset, and then always follow the command with the equal sign. That tells the ArcSign that this is a command. So let's go for a height of, let's say 3. So that should set any text following that 3 blocks above the ArcSign, wherever the ArcSign is placed. So offset equals height. Let's go for that. Now as you can see, 3 blocks above. Now I personally think the actual ArcSign block itself is fairly ugly, and I always hide them where I can. I usually bury them 2 blocks below the surface and then stick a block above it and have it completely hidden. Obviously bear that in mind when you're setting the height. The deeper you bury it, the higher you'll have to set the height setting. You can set negative numbers onto these as well, which will put the sign below the ArcSign. So if I put -3 there, our sign will disappear, and it's actually gone 3 blocks below. And just to prove that it works, so 1, 2, 3, we should see our text there, and it is. So let's change that back. And that's useful if for some reason you can't get under the floor. Maybe you're putting a sign on the 2nd floor of a build and you can't get the sign under the floor. You may want to put it into the ceiling, into the space above there. You can use negative numbers and bring your sign down below it rather than above it. So for the purpose of this, we'll leave it above. Now as you can see, the text isn't flush against our backdrop, so we'll need to adjust that. So the next command you need to know is the Z offset. So before we do that, we'll just remember, always when you're setting a command, always use the lesser than and greater than brackets and put the command in there. We'll set the height first, which is offset. We'll leave that at 3. We'll close off that command, and then we'll start a new command, and this one will be Z offset. And Z offset equals, so Z offset tells the ArcSign where to place either forward or back from the ArcSign the text that you put onto it. Now bear in mind the text above an ArcSign is in the center of a block, so in this case I'm going to set it minus 1.5. That will tell the ArcSign to move the text back 1.5 blocks. If I didn't put the minus sign, it would move it forward 1.5 blocks. And again, close off our command, and then we'll put our text in. So Z offset equals forward or back. Now the text is sitting nicely against our backdrop and 3 above the sign. What I'm now going to do with this one is actually copy these 2 commands for our next sign, so I don't have to type them out again. So if you go into a sign, highlight whatever you want to copy, press Ctrl C, and that will copy that text, and then you can paste that text into your next sign. Now one thing to note about these two commands, the offset and the Z offset, you can only ever use them once within one ArcSign. So it applies to everything you do in that ArcSign. It will either be set at that height and that far forward or back. The next 3 commands I'm going to show you, you can use multiple times in an ArcSign. So for instance with size, you can change the size of different lines of text, as I've done here. You can change the color of different types of different lines of text as well. So with this offset, Z offset, you can only use once. These other 3 commands you can use multiple times. So let's go into our next one, and what we'll do with this one is we'll change the size. So first of all I'm going to clear all that, and then I'm going to press Ctrl V, which puts our height at 3 and our Z offset at minus 1.5. Now this ArcSign is actually 1 block further away from the backdrop than the previous sign, so we will need to change that Z offset to minus 2.5 to move it 2.5 blocks back, otherwise it will be a block ahead of the asphalt. What we're now going to do as well, open our brackets to put in another command, and we'll change the size. Equals, let's go for size 1, and we'll put in size 1. What we'll then do, go to a new line, and we'll open a bracket again for a new command, and we'll put size equals 2, close off the command, size 2, and let's do it for a 3rd time. So open the bracket for the command, write the command, equals, and then we'll do that as 3, close off the command, and that text will be size 3. So there we have, we've got the height 3 above, the Z offset how far back at 2.5 blocks from the sign, and the first line of text size 1, second size 2, and third size 3. Next we'll look at colour. So what I'm going to do is copy that whole of that one, highlight it all, Ctrl C, and what we'll do is we'll change the colour of those 3 lines of text as well. So highlight that, delete it, Ctrl V, and if I press save now, what we'll have is exactly the same sign as we've got before. But what we want to do now is add a bit of colour into it. And the way you do the colour is exactly the same way you do the size with regards to where you place it. You go to the part of the text that you wish to change the colour for. The default colour is white. Open a command bracket, type colour equals, and for those of you from the UK or like me from Australia, this is the American spelling of colour. As we know, the correct way to spell colour is with a U, but for the purposes of Creativerse we'll go with that. So colour equals, now there are 2 ways to input colour. One is with text, I'll just move this down to the other line so you can see it properly. One is with text, as I've done here. I've typed yellow. Creativerse will recognize that as a command to make that text yellow. Now if I left it at that, all the text beyond that will remain yellow, as you can see there. However, what we'll do now is, to make life easier, I'm going to just copy that so I don't have to type it in all the time. Put it there in front of the next text I wish to change, and I'm going to change the color of that line to blue. And again, if I left it at that, size 1 would be yellow, and then all the text beyond the color blue command would be blue, as you can see there. So let's just change it one more time, and Control V. Let's change the color to, let's go for red. Save. And we've got 3 different sizes, 3 different colors. Now with the colors, as I said there, what we did there was just type in the basic color, yellow, blue, red. It will accept RGB and HTML color tags as well, so the hashtag FF whatever, you know, you could Google that and find different colors. If you wanted a particular color that wasn't just a straightforward red, blue, yellow, black, white, etc., then you would need to actually put in the color code. But you put it in exactly the same place excuse me, exactly the same place as we wrote the actual color. So instead of typing blue, you would just type in the color code and it would recognize that as well. So that's the color. So the final one is the alignment, and what I'll do for this one, I'll Control C, copy all of that, save typing any of it out again, go into our final sign, get rid of that, Control V to paste it all in, and we're one block closer to the wall now, so I'm going to change our Z offset forward or back to -1. So if we save that, we've got exactly the same sign as we got there. But what we'll do now is we'll change the alignment. Now default alignment is centered for Creativerse. What we'll do is we'll move size 1 to the left and size 3 to the right. And this is not something you'll probably use very much, but it's good to know. So we're going to move the size 1 yellow to the left. So we'll place our cursor just before the text we want to move. We'll open up a command bracket, and for this one it's simply align equals, and just type left. If we leave it at that, all the text beyond that will be aligned to the left as it is there. So it moves one block over to the left. So we'll go in, and I'm just going to copy that align one command. I'm going to go to size 2. I'm going to put center, and again for those in the UK and Australia, it's the American spelling of center. As we know, center should be spelled like that. Please don't judge me for those in America. So our size 2 line will now be centered, and we'll go to our size 3 and we'll align that one to the right. Save that, and we got size 1 there, size 2 there, and size 3 there, and that's it. Those are the 5, sorry I never said 4, those are the 5 basic commands that you need to be able to align, place, format ArcSigns and really make the most out of them. And that is it. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please press the like button. If there are any more tutorials you'd like me to cover, leave a comment in the section below and I'll try and accommodate. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!